Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to 3 Excel tips for accountants to avoid common errors. My name is Elise. I'm part of the marketing group here at SageWorks, and I'll be doing some introductions and some housekeeping before I turn it over to our speaker today. Some quick housekeeping. If you haven't been on one of our webinars in the past, we do have a Q&A at the end of the webinar, but please feel free to submit questions at any time during the webinar. There is a box to enter questions in the GoToWebinar panel on your screen, as you see here. Additionally, the slides for the webinar are currently available in the handout section of the GoToWebinar toolbar. People always ask if we're going to pass those out, and they are currently available for you to download. A little bit about SageWorks, if you aren't familiar with us. For the past 17 years, we have served the accounting market with our ProfitSense platform. And about 2 years ago, we expanded our offerings by introducing a product specifically for business valuation professionals, the SageWorks Valuation Solution. Now, at SageWorks, our approach to technology is twofold. First, of course, we're going to build the best products that we can. But secondly, it's very important to us to continue supporting those products and providing really great customer service to help and to make sure that our customers are able to use our products in the best way to achieve their objectives. We recently won an award from CPA Practice Advisor for technology innovation. And as I mentioned, SageWorks has a long history of serving the accounting market, but in the past several years we have also expanded some of our other product lines to serve the banking market as well. And then also here we do include a legal statement in all of our webinars, and this will be included in your copy of the slides so you can read this at your convenience later. But to summarize, this presentation may contain forward-looking statements relative to publicly available industry data, but of course we can't predict the future, and these statements are not intended to advise a specific course of action. So at this point, I'm going to turn things over to our presenter.
Well, hello and thank you. Let me go ahead and get my screen sharing here. All right. Okay, welcome to 3 Excel Tips for Accountants. My name's Jeff, and I am really glad that you're here. I love sharing the things that I've learned about Excel, especially those things that help us accountants get our work done faster. So I started my career at Arthur Andersen in the Orange County, California office, where a lot of the work I did was done according to the SALY method. Are you familiar with that? S-A-L-Y, the SALY method, same as last year? Yeah. So I'd kind of cruise along my work program steps and kind of move along, and that's how things worked. But in industry, I quickly figured out that Excel was a great companion to my work, and it really helped me get my work done faster. I was the accounting manager at a public biotech firm called Interport Cross, and there I was totally overwhelmed with work because just as the accounting manager, I had to be responsible for closing the books and all kinds of things. And I just had way more work than time, and once again Excel came to my rescue, and it helped me get my work closed down from about a 2-week close to about a 2-day close just by using Excel the right way. So I absolutely love Excel. I love sharing the things I've learned about it. So that's what I do full-time, primarily through the Excel University website, where I deliver Excel training focused for the focused for accountants and through a variety of other CPE sponsors. Today we're going to talk about 3 tips that will help you get your work done faster. Right? This is the Excel tasks. You see, Excel is really good about giving us multiple ways to do virtually any task. Right? Some ways are the slow way, but once you know how, you can get things done faster by using what I like to call the fast way. So anyway, I've handpicked 3 chapters from the Excel University series, and so we're going to go ahead and go through those. If you'd like to work along, all right, and actually open up the Excel files and work along, I would invite you to grab a copy of the Excel files. So there's the PDF, PowerPoint slides, but there's also Excel files. Let me show you how to get to those. Just point your web browser to the Excel University website and then /SageWorks. Okay, and that page looks like this, exceluniversity.com with the hyphen /SageWorks. All right, and that will bring up this page here, and there are some files here. There's these Excel files, and the Excel files are the exact same ones that I'll be using. And so if you want to just kind of kick back and cruise and just watch, that's totally cool. But if you've got a couple of monitors and you want to have Excel open up on one of the monitors and work along, hey, I'd invite you to do that. So those are the Excel files and the handouts. All right, so I'll go ahead and I'm going to leave that link up at the bottom of the next several slides in case you need some time to download those files. All right, today we're going to look at these 3 tips, right? Report totals, identify duplicates, and new transactions. So let's just jump right in with report totals. Now, you guys have a questions, like kind of a questions panel in your webinar control panel here. And I'd like you to just talk to me through that. So when I ask you what is your #1 most used function, go ahead and type in your answer as if it was a question. I know it's not a question, it's your answer, but what is your #1 most used Excel function? Like what Excel function is in more of your formulas, like in more of your cells, in more of your workbooks over the last, I don't know how long, 30 years that Excel has been available? What is it? Let's see, I'd like to know. Come on, type it in. Let's play along here. And I'm not talking about your Excel feature, like, well, I love the Excel pivot table feature. I mean a function like equals and then the function. What is it? Okay, so for those of you that are playing along, thank you. I really appreciate your interactivity and your feedback. And it looks like the number one function is the sum function. And although I haven't seen a formal statistical analysis, I do think the sum function is the #1 most used function of all time. But it shouldn't be our go-to function for adding up values in reports. I mean the kinds of reports that we accountants do, there's a function that will provide more efficiency, right? So if the sum was the slow way, let's talk about the fast way. I'm going to demonstrate this by opening up a workbook called Totals. And if you'd like to work along, hey, feel free to open up that copy of that workbook as well. All right. So like for the last, the Sally method, right? For the last 30 years, we get these Excel files from maybe like our senior or a manager or a partner, and we just do it like last year, right? And so probably the most common way that an accountant would approach finishing out this report is what I call the sum and pick and choose. Sum and pick and choose. So how that looks is we have a fixed asset subtotal, and we need to calculate it, so we use the sum function. And we use the sum function to add up the values in the fixed asset subtotal range. And enter 680, 678, 68. So yeah, Jeff, that's exactly how I do it. What's wrong with that? Well, that's fine until we go to calculate the grand total. Because now to write the grand total formula, we have to write a formula that kind of like picks and chooses. Right? It picks and chooses which cells to include. Enter 2049048. So, Jeff, that's exactly right. Sum and pick and choose. What's wrong with that? Well, that's fine until next period, right? This is a recurring use workbook. We update it daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually, whatever it is. And so we want to make our recurring use workbooks dialed in, totally efficient. And so next period when we open this up and we have to add in something new like inventory, let's call it 100,000. Now before I hit enter, let's make a mental note of the total. The grand total right now is 2049048. So let's 2049048, 2049048, and enter, and 2049048. So what does that mean? Well, that means I have an error right now in my workbook. And to fix the error, what do I have to do? I have to go and what? Update or rewrite my formula. Okay, that's the slow way. Why? Because we have errors, then we have to fix them by rewriting our formulas. Now, let me just share a little quick personal story with you so you can remember the fact that we don't like to rewrite something. We have 3 kids, and we love family game night. Board games are one of our favorites. We play Monopoly. I had 2 of the red cards. I needed that 3rd red card to get my Monopoly, right? So I had to enter this brutal negotiation with my 8-year-old. Hey, she's tough. And anyway, I got that 3rd red card. I got my Monopoly. I built my houses, and life was good. Every cycle, every time people would go around the board, they'd pay me money. It was great until I landed on my son's Boardwalk Hotel. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with that game, but the rent there, yeah, $2,000. Crazy. So I was frustrated because I didn't have the cash. So I had to turn back my houses, flip over my red cards, and I was just frustrated. And I said, bogus, man. And it was bogus because then I had to start this process of rebuilding what I had already built. It was working every cycle, every time around the board. Same goes with Excel. Once we get a workbook in place that is working every period, we don't want to have to go and rebuild what we've already built. So rather than do the sum and pick and choose slow way, let's talk about the fast way. Equals subtotal. Wait, what? Yeah. Excel has a function called subtotal, and it's designed exactly for this. Okay? But there's one extra argument to the subtotal function. The Microsoft developers wanted this function to be flexible, and they wanted it to be able to do lots of different kinds of things. So the way that we tell this function what kind of math we want to apply is through its first argument. If we wanted to find the average of the range, we'd go with code 1. If we wanted to try to count the values in the range, we'd go code 2. Though really the one that I use is code 9 because 9 is the code for sum. That first function argument is how we tell the function what kind of math to apply to the range. It's an extra argument, okay? But once we have this figured out, now we can really use it in our Excel files. So equals subtotal 9 of the range, okay? Before I hit enter, let's review. I'm asking the subtotal function, not the sum function, the subtotal function. To do what? To add. That code 9 is the code for add. We want to add up the values in the fixed asset subtotal range. And enter. 67868. So, Jeff, that's the same exact value that we had before. Why is this any better? Well, here's why. Now when we get to the grand total, we don't have to pick and choose. We can write another subtotal function, code 9, of the whole entire range. Whoa, 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 Jeff, hold on a second. Aren't you going to double count the fixed asset subtotal? Okay, and the answer is no. Why? Because the subtotal function excludes other subtotal functions in its range. And that's the important part. The subtotal function excludes other subtotal functions in its range. Okay, enter. 2049048. So it worked, yay, but Jeff, that's the same exact value that you got before when you did sum and pick and choose. Why is this any better? Here's why. We save, we close, we move on with our life. Life is good. Next period we have an update. So we add something new like inventory of 100,000. Okay? So before I hit enter, the value is 2049048. And enter, and yes, it worked. 2149048. Okay? And that means we don't have an error in our workbook, and it means we don't have to rewrite any formulas. And when we don't have to rewrite formulas, we're getting our work done efficiently, and that's the fast way. All right? Good? Good? Okay, I'm going to try to do all the formulas twice today, so let me go ahead and redo these. All right, so equals subtotal. Okay? Code 9. Jeff, what is that 9 code? 9 is the code for sum. The first argument is called the function num argument, and it's how we tell the function what kind of math we want to apply to the range. 9 is the one I use most often because 9 is the code for sum of the fixed assets range. Okay, enter. Cool. Sue, hey, one of you gets it, right? All right. So we go subtotal of the whole entire range, and then we go equals subtotal, code 9, and here we can include all of the assets. Okay. And we're not going to double count the fixed asset subtotal, and why not? Because the subtotal function excludes other subtotal functions in its range. Enter 2049048, and we got it. Okay, so think you got it? They all need to be subtotals. Both subtotals and grand totals need to be calculated with the subtotal function. If you throw a sum function in there, it's going to mess it up because subtotals don't exclude the sum function, and the sum function doesn't exclude the subtotal function. So they've all got to be subtotals, grand totals and subtotals. And I think this is a more efficient way to set up our recurring use workbooks. Okay? To recap, the subtotal function excludes other subtotal functions in its range. Okay? Now, I love the subtotal function. It's one of my top 5 favorite functions. And so I've written an article about it for the Wisconsin Institute of CPAs. And I called that article Sum No More. Sum No More, right? So if you want to check that out, it's got a full narrative of everything that we just covered. So later when you're working on your financials or something, and hey, Jeff did a subtotal something, but I kind of forget about how it works. Hey, I've got a full narrative with all the information that we just discussed. To get to it, just head to the Excel University website and click on Articles. And what you can do is scroll down till you find the one that is called Sum No More. Click on that, and that will bring up the article where it's got all the information that we just talked about, okay, including what the codes are, the difference between pick and choose, and all of that. So feel free to bookmark that or check it out if it will be of use. And also, if you're looking for a way to add a subtotal button to Excel, let me show you how to get to that. Just head to the Excel University blog and click on the thing we want to learn more about, which is the subtotal function. So on the right, I'll click subtotal. And here, the second post down is called subtotal macro. And if you open that post, it's going to walk you through the steps for setting up a button inside of Excel that simulates the AutoSum button, but instead of using the sum function, instead it uses the subtotal function with code 9, and it auto-detects the range above. So, hey, if that'll be useful, feel free to check that out as well. All right, let me go ahead and launch my first polling question, which is, could you get your Excel tasks done faster with increased Excel proficiency? And the reason why I asked this question is simply because it's been my experience that that the better I got at Excel, I was able to find more ways to accomplish the same task. I just had more options, right? And so, for example, when I was under the gun trying to get the close done and I was totally stressed out because I had way more work than time available, I totally absorbed myself into trying to figure out how to improve my skills with Excel so I could get my work done faster. And it totally translated 100%. The better I got with Excel, the more efficiently I could get my work done. So anyway, that's why that polling question is in there. And so I'm going to go ahead and give you just a few more moments to answer that, and then we'll move along. All right, there's our results. Let's go ahead and hide those, and let's go to tip number 2. All right, so tip number 1, subtotal function. Tip number 2, let's talk about identifying duplicates. Here we have a range, right? And where did this range come from? I don't know, maybe it was exported from some accounting system or something. And we get into Excel and we want to look for duplicate values. Okay, so I'm going to show you kind of the slow way and then, you know, the fast way. I'm going to go ahead and open up a workbook called Duplicates. All right, here we have this export, and we want to identify potential duplicate check numbers. So duplicate values in this check num field. There are many ways in Excel to do this. Okay. One way that's you know, kind of a standard or common practice is to just do what I call a sort and scan, and that's where a user would go ahead and do a sort, you know, by the check num, and then just scroll down and look manually for duplicate values. So that is one sort of common way to go about it. And the problem with that, of course, is that it takes a long time, and there's a possibility that we'll miss something. So rather than do that, let's try it with conditional formatting and a filter. Conditional formatting and a filter. So conditional formatting is a feature in Excel that formats a cell based on the cell's value. Okay, based on the cell's value. And the way that we set this up is two steps. One is we select the cells that we want to apply the conditional formatting to, and then we apply the conditional formatting. So let's do step one. Step one is we need to select all of these check num cells. We could do that the slow way, which is just click and drag. I select the first one, hold down my my mouse key, and drag all the way down. And that would be one option. Or we could do the shift and double click. And here's how that works. We hold down the shift key and we hover our mouse to the lower cell border of that selected cell, and when we double click that, Excel will extend our selection all the way down, right? And so if there's only 20 rows, it's not a big deal just to click and drag, but as there are hundreds or thousands or 10,000s or 100,000 rows, that can save us some time. So once again, to select that range, I selected the first cell, I hold down shift, and I double click the bottom cell border, and Excel extends that selection all the way down. All right, and then what we do is apply conditional formatting. Conditional formatting, and there are lots of fun rules to play with in here. So if you haven't explored this, there's lots of cool stuff. We can use greater than, less than, highlight all the cells that are between a certain value, equal to a certain value. Just grab the top or bottom, percentage or above average. There's data bars, color scales, icon sets, tons of really cool things in here. The one I want to draw your attention to now is under Highlight Cell Rules, Duplicate Values. Duplicate Values. And when I select Highlight Cell Rules, Duplicate Values, Excel displays the Duplicate Values dialog, where I can tell Excel to highlight the duplicates, which is what we want, or highlight just the unique values. And what we want is the duplicates. And we could pick whatever kind of format we want to apply. We'll go with the default of light red, and then we'll click OK. Okay, and let me go ahead and jump back up. And even though we've applied the formatting, it will still take a long time to sit and scroll down through and find everything. Right? I mean, if there's 20 rows, it's no big deal, but as our data size grows, that's going to take an increasing amount of time. So rather than do that, we can ask Excel to just filter to show those red duplicate values. And there's a couple of ways to do that. One is if you're using a current version of Excel, Excel 2016, you can right-click that highlighted cell and select Filter, and then Filter by Selected Cells Color. Okay, Filter by Selected Cells Color. And when I select that, Excel sort of does two things. One is it turns on filters and applies the filter. Sometimes that's called filter by selection. Okay, so that's available in current versions of Excel. If you don't have that right-click shortcut, then we can always do that sort of manually. And the way that we would do that is we'd head to Data and click on the filter icon. And that turns on and off our little drop-down filter controls. And once we have that, then we can select Filter by Color, and then we can either filter by the cell fill color or the font color. We'll go with, doesn't matter, pick that. And then that is a very fast way to identify duplicate values. Okay, so I'm going to try to do all these exercises twice. Let me go ahead and undo this. All right, so step one is we need to select the cells. Okay, I could click and drag, but a faster option is to hold down Shift and double click the bottom cell border. And that extends my selection all the way down. Step two is I need to turn on conditional formatting. So I go to Home, Conditional Formatting, Highlight Cell Rules, Duplicate Values. Okay, I just click OK. And then if I have Excel 2016, I can right-click any of the highlighted cells and select Filter by selected cell's color. That automatically turns on the filters. If I don't have 2016, then I need to turn on the filters manually. We do that by selecting any cell in the range, clicking the filter icon from the Data Ribbon tab, using the drop-down to select Filter by Color, and go. Okay, and so that's how we can identify duplicate values. Now, I'd like to circle back around with the subtotal function. Okay, we talked about the subtotal function, remember? Subtotal code 9. And there is something that's interesting about the subtotal function, and it's this. There are additional exclusion rules, right? The first exclusion rule we talked about was the fact that it excludes other subtotal functions in its range. In addition to that, it excludes rows that have been hidden by the filter or by a filter. It excludes hidden rows that have been hidden with the filter. So that means we can actually sum by color. So in exercise 2, let's say we've manually identified some transactions. And the way that we manually identified them is we selected the transaction and then we applied a cell fill, a font color, something. So we've manually identified these. And then we want to add them up. So if we try to use a sum function, okay, we can't really tell the sum function to just include the blue cells, right? Why? Because functions operate on the stored values, the underlying value of the cell. Functions disregard the cell formatting. So I can't really use the sum function to just say the blue, or I can't use the sum ifs function and say add up the amount column but only include those rows where like it's blue, right? It is we can't do that. But we do know that we can filter by color. And we do know that the subtotal function excludes rows that have been hidden with the filter. So what do you say we try to use the subtotal function? Code 9 of the range. Close the function and enter. 15589. Okay, now let's see what happens when we apply a filter. If we're in a current version of Excel, we can right-click and select Filter. If we're in a previous version of Excel, we can use the filter icon to turn on the filters. And then let's select Filter by Color, Blue. And yes, the subtotal function updates to only display the visible cells. Okay? So when we apply a filter, the subtotal function will exclude the hidden rows. All right? Let me go ahead and try to do this one more time. We select the cell and we write the formula. I'm going to use the subtotal function. Code 9 of the range. Close the function and enter. 15589. Now, if I apply a filter, last time we did it with the filter icon. This time let's try it with a right click. Filter, filter by selected cell's color. And we got it. Okay. So that's filtering. Okay, and to review, we looked at filtering as a quick way to identify duplicates by using the conditional formatting duplicate values option. And in the next exercise, we circled back to the subtotal function and saw how, in addition to excluding other subtotal functions, it also excludes rows that have been hidden with the filter. Okay? Good? All right. Let's go ahead and close this and move back to here. So, identify duplicates. And we did that with conditional formatting, and we also saw how we could filter by color. Don't worry, I have all the steps for everything that we just did on the Excel University blog. So if you'd like to access that, feel free to head to the Excel University blog and look for this post called Sum by Color. Sum by Color. And that will walk you through all the steps that we just did. Okay, good? All right. Let's go ahead and do the next polling question. Now this one is, would you like to be notified when I do a new Excel article or blog post? If so, just click yes to this, and then SageWorks will give me the email addresses, and I'll just subscribe you. It's a free, subscription. It's a great way to learn Excel at no cost at a pretty easy pace. There's about 2 to maybe 3 posts per month that I do, so not a ton of stuff coming through, but a couple of interesting things each month. So if you'd like to be signed up automatically, hey, just click yes, and I will make sure that it happens. All right. Give you just a few more moments to select that, and then we'll move on to our next thing. Okay. Last up is new transactions. So here's the thing. Let's say we have some data that has been stored in Excel, and that's illustrated in the screenshot by the amount column, right? And then we do something with the range, right? Maybe we just add it up with a sum function, or you know better, maybe you'd add it up with a subtotal function, or maybe you'd use it in a SUMIFS function, VLOOKUP, average, min, max, count, whatever you do. Maybe you use it in a pivot table or a chart. So it doesn't matter sort of what we do with this range. The point is that we get some data in the range, and then we do something with it, okay? And then we save, we close, we move on with our life, and life is good until next period, right? Next period, we add some new stuff under the range, right? We type or paste new values into existing cells under the original range. That's illustrated in the screenshot by these 2 new values, 10,000 and 5,000. And when we look at our formula, does Excel automatically rewrite our formula? No, it doesn't. Does it automatically update our pivot table data source? No, it doesn't. So what does that mean we have to do? Rewrite the formula? That's bogus, man. Let's see if there's a fast way to do this. I'm going to open up a workbook called Transactions. All right. So here we have some transactions that have been stored in Excel. We copied and pasted them, we exported them, we typed them in, doesn't matter. Then we do something with the range. Maybe we sum it up, average, count it, min, max, subtotal, SUMIFS, okay, VLOOKUP, whatever. Then we hit enter. 367, 711. Save, close, move on, life, good. Next period, we need to do a little update. So we update it by typing or pasting values into cells that exist. Now we know that if we were to insert new worksheet rows within the original range, like if I inserted some new worksheet rows within the original range, I know that Excel is good about updating formulas like that. So our formula would be updated. But that's not the risk that we're trying to address. The risk that we're trying to address is when we type or paste values into existing cells under the original range. That's the risk. So 10,000, and before I hit enter, let's look at the total. 367, 711. 367, 711, 367, 711, and enter, and 367, 711. So what does that tell us? It tells us that Excel doesn't rewrite or update formulas when we type or paste new stuff into the cells under the original range. Then we have to do what? Rewrite our formulas? No. The good news is there's a very simple way to get Excel to automatically include those values that we type or paste under the range. And the way that we do that is, instead of storing the data in an ordinary Excel range, this is just an ordinary cell range, right? Instead of storing data there, we store it in a table. How do we do that? We select any cell within the range and insert table. Excel displays the Create Table dialog. Okay, the Create Table dialog. It asks me to confirm the range, which is fine. It asks me to confirm if my table has a header row, which it does, and I click OK. Excel applies some formatting, and it gives me a new ribbon tab called Table Tools. And these are all the little settings and properties that we can apply to our table. I don't have time to cover all of them right now, and I would encourage you to investigate this because there's some really cool stuff in here. But right now, the one I do want to draw your attention to is the very first one. It's called Table Name. We could give this a more descriptive name, but the default naming is just Table 1, 2, 3. So we make a note of the table's name. Then we write our formula, equals sum, average, min, max, count, sum ifs, VLOOKUP, subtotal, doesn't matter. Then we use the table's name. Before I hit enter, let's review. I'm asking the sum function to add up the values in the table. I'm not using A1 style range references. I'm using the table's name. The data is stored in the table. We need to use the table's name. Enter. 367, 711. We save, we close, we move on with our life. Life is good. Even next period. Check it out. We head under the range, and just like before, we type in 10,000. And before I hit enter, do you sense that anticipation, right? Hey, I hope you appreciate this dramatic moment because I worked really hard to set it up. 10,000 and enter, and yes, 377, 711. 5,000, yes, it works, and it continues to auto update. And here's why. Tables auto expand. Tables auto expand when I type or paste new stuff immediately under the range or to the right of the range. Tables don't auto expand left or up. Okay? So I'm going to try to do these exercises twice. Let's go ahead and do it. I select any cell within the range. Insert table. Excel displays the Create Table dialog box. I click OK. Then I look for the table's name. The table's name is available on the Table Tools ribbon tab. Far left, Table 1. Last time we used sum, this time we'll use subtotal. Code 9, and then we use the table's name. Enter. 367, 711. We type or paste new values under the range, and the table auto expands. Okay, and since we use the table's name in our formula, our formula gets those new values. Okay, but this was our warm-up exercise, and it just has a single column. To really use this in practice, we need to figure out how to work with multi-column tables. So let's move to exercise 2. In this exercise, we have this trial balance, and we're going to paste new stuff into this recurring use workbook. Sometimes there's new accounts, so there's more rows than last period. I want to address that risk now. I don't want to rewrite formulas. Okay, I want to just be able to paste and go. So I'm going to convert this ordinary range into a table. Select any cell in the range, insert table. Excel displays the Create Table dialog box, and I click OK. Now we need to write a formula. Equals sum, okay, and if we use the table's name, like table 2, that's going to include all of the data cells. We don't want all the data cells, we just want a certain column. So Microsoft has developed a system for referring to areas within a table called structured table references. Structured table references. And here's how they work. They're the table's name followed by the column name in square brackets. Right? To insert that, I could just type it in, or I could just select it with my mouse. So I'm just going to grab the debit column, and I'm not going to start with the header row because that gives me this headers tag. Instead, I'm going to select the first number, 154, 115. And as I extend my selection down, I'll see that Excel is using the A1 style range reference. But as soon as I get to the very last cell in the table, Excel inserts the proper structured table reference. Table name, followed by the column name, enclosed in square brackets. Close the function and enter. And we could do the same thing for the credit column. Last time I selected with my mouse. Let me show you how it looks if we're just going to type it in. I start by typing the table's name, table 2. I press the open square bracket on my keyboard. I select credit, close the square bracket, and close the function. Okay, and enter. And that's how we do structured table references. Okay, I'm going to skip exercise 3 and let's go to exercise 4. All right, we love storing data in tables. Why? Because tables auto-expand. So I'm going to select any cell in this range and I'm going to convert it to a table. Insert table, OK. All right, and now I need to add up the amount column. Well, I could do it the slow way by writing a formula, you know, and saying equals sum, table name, column name enclosed in square bracket. Like I could do all of that stuff. But once we know how, we can do it the fast way. The fast way is just to turn on the table's total row. How do we do that? It's under Table Tools, and I just check the total row checkbox. And when I do, Excel turns that total row on and off anytime. I can just turn it on or off anytime. And that would be the fast way. And that would be the fast way to get the total of the amount column. Okay? Good? All right. So let me go ahead and close this down and head back to here. And to recap, we want to store data in tables. Why? Because tables auto-expand. Now, I have a blog post written up that talks about, you know, adding a table and setting up the table's total row. So if you want to refer to that, just head to the Excel University blog. Click on the thing that you want to learn more about, which is tables. Okay, and we'll scroll down. It's an older post. And here we have a post called Table Total Row. And this talks about how to, you know, set up a table, how to turn on the total row, how to customize the total row. Customize, yeah, you can pick and choose which functions you want to use the total. We use sum. You can find average, min, max, count. It talks about what happens when you apply a filter to a table that has a total row. Fortunately, total rows use the subtotal function. And as we know, the subtotal function excludes rows that have been hidden by a filter, even when that filter is a table filter. So it talks all about that. It talks about adding rows. Like when I add the total row, I kind of feel trapped, like the table's not going to auto-expand. Oh, the table totally auto-expands. And this talks about how to add rows even when we have a total row turned on. All right, so if that will come in handy, please feel free to check it out. And let me head back to here and do another polling question. Could additional training help improve Excel proficiency? And let me go ahead and get that turned on. Okay, and the reason why I asked this question is just because, remember I was telling you I was stressed out, right, when I had more work than time? And I was like a sponge. I absorbed every piece of Excel training that I could find to help me get better at Excel. And what I found was a lot of generic tips and tricks, right? Nothing really targeted to accountants, nothing that was a structured, progressive training system, all just little bits of tips and tricks. And tips and tricks are great, you know, but there was nothing really that was a structured, progressive training curriculum that was designed. And so that's what I built. I built it. It's available at the Excel University website. And everyone loves free little goodies, right? When you go to conferences, little conference goodies and things. So I have some goodies. So if you'd like to take a deeper dive into Excel, I would encourage you to check out this training. It's all online, on demand, work at your own pace, 20 CP hours if you need them. It's all lecture videos with narrative, actual hands-on homework. Normally $250. The promo code SageWorks will get you a 50% discount of $125. To register, this little bundle, this promo, isn't available from the normal store. It's available from the same link that you used to get the Excel files. So if I go back to here, this is the green button here for Excel University Volumes 1 and 2. That's the button that you want to click. so that the voucher code will work. If you just try to go to the course list and buy it from the public store, it's not available there. It's available just from this secret hidden page designed just for you guys today. Okay, so if you'd like to take a look at that, hey, feel free to check it out. If you got any questions, definitely hit me anytime. The voucher once again is SageWorks. The enrollment period is 1 year. That's an enrollment term set by NASBA. And just as a free, some free promotional thing that I do is I give free books to the first 5 orders placed today. Also, total refund, full refund if it's not working for you. Just let me know and we'll do a full refund. I know it works because I get all kinds of emails from students around the country saying, hey Jeff, thank you so much for helping me save time. Gretchen is saying, hey, we just eliminated 1/3 of our steps. Christina is saying, this project used to take us a couple of months. After your training, it's now taking under a week. I got my close from 2 weeks to 2 days by using exactly the information that's in this course. So I set it up as a process or a system anyone can use to save time. So anyways, hey, Excel's been my secret weapon for years. I hope it can be yours as well. Thanks so much, and I'll hand it back over to SageWorks.
Thank you so much, Jeff. That was a great presentation. Those are some great Excel tips. So before we get to the Q&A, my colleague Chad is just going to join us to tell a little bit about what SageWorks does.
Good deal. Good deal. Thanks, Jeff. That was a great session. Always good to learn more about practical tips in Excel. I know myself, I can pick up things along the way. So it was a great session. I appreciate you guys letting me talk for just a few minutes here. Just wanted to help you learn more about what we do here at SageWorks and the products that we provide. You know, for those of you who are familiar with our platforms, you know, we do provide financial analysis as well as business valuation software. But as you see on the screen here, one of the things we really, you know, pride ourselves in here is the education that we provide in addition to the technology, right? So something we did earlier this year is that we went and collaborated with 16 top thought leaders in the accounting industry, and we published the ebook that you see here, Gathering Insights and Practice Advice on How to Grow Your Firm of Trusted Advisors, right? So the content and the focus of this book, it's centered around helping accountants become trusted business advisors, which, you know, industry surveys show is the #1 demand from your business clients. So for those of you that are interested in learning more about this book or even downloading this book, there is a digital download available for free on our website. You can see the link listed here. Or if you prefer a hardback or a hard copy rather, there's a paperback version on Amazon that you can purchase there as well. Now, you know, in regards to actually providing advisory services for your clients, I really like to kind of highlight or point out 3 top reasons that small business owners select their CPAs, to give you a little bit better of insight into what we do and how we service our clients. So, well, I think the first 2 reasons come as no huge surprise here. You know, most people aren't as familiar with the 3rd reason that we typically list. So first and foremost, right, you know, CPAs are chosen for their expertise and for their knowledge in the field of accounting. You know, running a business can be a very complex endeavor, and most business owners are not wired to understand the aspects, you know, the financials behind running that business. Number 2, CPAs are chosen for their responsiveness, right? Business owners want to know that they're being heard and that someone has their back in their time of need. You know, in my time here, I've spoken with thousands of accountants, you know, really in the past decade. And I can honestly tell you, right, I mean, there's really not one accountant that I've come across that has not been willing to do really whatever that client asks of them, right? Most accountants think that this is truly the thing that differentiates their practice, you know, from others. But the reality is, if everybody's doing the reactive service offerings, right, it's really not a differentiator at this point, right? We got to figure out a way to set yourself apart and take a more proactive approach. So when we look at this number 3, right, CPAs that are chosen because of the proactive strategic advice they offer, right? So we just discussed, like, most of you guys, 99% probably, and that's a random figure, but a majority are willing and able to provide reactive services. But the ones that are willing to do more, you know, provide more proactive services for their business clients are the ones that are going to help to set themselves apart, you know, from the competition. The ones that willing to go above and beyond for their clients are the ones that are having an easier time, cross-selling services to your existing clients while maintaining a high retention rate as well. I mean, you can see right here from the stat alone, 25 to 40% of new businesses generated by top CPA firms come from cross-selling to these existing clients, right? 75% of business owners have changed firms because their CPAs are providing reactive services, rather than proactive services. So we talk about gaining new clients versus cross-selling to existing clients. There's a figure out there that says it's 11 times more expensive to bring a new client on board than it is to work with an existing client. So we need to start taking advantage of these opportunities. So the question to take away here, is honestly, would you rather be a firm that new clients seek out because of the services that you provide, or would you rather be the firm that loses a top client or maybe a handful of top clients to other firms because you weren't in touch with what they really want and what they really need? Just like you guys are taking the time to learn more about platforms that can help you in your day-to-day business, like Excel, right? So adding simple services like a valuation service, right? Adding additional advisory services, right? The stat here shows that as 10 million baby boomer businesses come up for sale, right, exit planning and even business valuations, they're going to be a significant revenue opportunity for you as well. So I want to show you kind of what we provide in the light here with our ProfitSense platform and then our SageWorks platform. So just to kind of highlight a few key points here, right? So ProfitSense is our web-based financial analysis software. So it's going to give you the ability as an accounting firm to differentiate your firm with industry-specific benchmarking KPIs to provide that proactive advice we discussed. It's going to give you opportunity to acquire clients with easy-to-understand graphs and metrics and narrative reporting. You can generate engagements with new clients, financial insights that also support that retention rate. And for those of you that are doing audit and review work, right, you can streamline this process with automated calculations and documentations in that arena. Now for the valuation solution, right, so for the firms and the professionals that do provide a valuation service, a business valuation, right, it's a web-based platform that's going to allow you to save time while following the income, the market and the asset approach to generate that accurate, defensible valuation. You're going to have the ability to reduce human error through consistent process and analysis. You can access the valuations of the client documents quickly to provide that high-quality service. And honestly, to create customized reports faster to increase realization rates at your firm, right? You want to have the time and effort to save that up front to increase your realization rates. Thanks for your time, guys, and helping you learn that back. I'm going to hand it back over to my associate here to finish out today. Any questions you guys have on the SageWorks platform, please reach out. We'd love to discuss that with you in more detail.
Thanks, Chad. So at this point, I have launched one last poll question if everybody would just like to go ahead and get their answer in. The question is, would you like to join a call to learn how firms are leveraging ProfitSense or the SageWorks valuation solution? And I'll just leave that open for a little bit here to let everybody get their answer in, and then we'll move on to the Q&A portion. All right, just going to leave this open for maybe 5 more seconds or so. All right, we're going to go ahead and close that poll. All right, and at this point, I will open it back up for questions. Jeff, have you seen any questions coming in yet?
Yeah, there are questions. And before I get to those, hey, thanks for the people who have already ordered in those last couple of minutes. I really appreciate your enrollments, and I hope there's some Excel things in the course that will help you get your stuff done faster. And like I say, the first 5, I'll send out the paperback books. So, so anyways, thank you. I really appreciate it. Now, for the questions, can you show me where that Some No More article is again? And yeah, and let me go ahead and get my screen. Actually, yeah, I can't do, yes, I can do. No, that's webcam. All right, well, I can't do screen sharing right now, so I'll just say it's available at the Excel University website /articles. So just go to exceluniversity.com. Up at the top, there's an articles link right up top. Click on that. It's about halfway down, and it's called Some No More. So, hey, thanks for the question. And then the other question is, can I call the table anything so can I rename the table? And the answer is, yeah, you can rename tables, but you want to avoid, spaces and funky characters and stuff like that. But definitely, I would suggest using a more descriptive name than the default names, table 1, 2, and 3, and so on. So, hey, thanks for your question. Anyways, hey, thanks so much for having me today and for joining me today. I hope there was some things that will help you get your work done faster. Thanks. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Jeff.